Hi guys and welcome back, I'm Adam Thomas. Thank you all so much for being here. Today it's a time-lapse Tuesday. We haven't done one of these in a while, so I'm really excited to get back into these. This was a tattoo I did quite a while ago. It's a really cool leopard piece. It takes up most of the outside of the bicep, so it's fairly decent size. But with the big cats, I tend to find that I can get through them fairly quickly. The size doesn't really give me too much bother. Once you get in there with the fur, especially anything that's got stripes, so leopards, tigers, anything that's got heavy black and then like a lot of light fur, so got that big high contrast. For me, you can get rid of your stencil quite quickly, makes your life a lot easier. But without me blabbering on, we'll talk about all that through the time lapse. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, click the subscription button, click the like button if you enjoy this content, and make sure to click the bell icon to get notified of all my latest updates. But yeah, this one should be good. So with that being said, let's jump straight into this leopard time-lapse tattoo. So as you can see, it is a fairly big sort of piece of a tattoo. It's taking up most of the bicep, which is good because it means that we're not sort of having any space. We're really wrapping around that panel, making the most of that space. The machine that I'm using is the Cheyenne Sol Nova Ultimate 3.5 stroke. I would tell you what voltage I run this at. I know some of you want to know what voltage I do run my machines at. With this, it's really difficult and slightly annoying. So it uses like a motion thing to change the voltage. So there's no readouts. You don't really know what you're doing, but you have to sort of aim it at a clock and it changes the speed. So I just have it whatever it comes out at. That's what I run it at, because when it goes into standby, it resets anyway. So whatever it runs at, that's what I run it at. So turn the machine on and go, that's it. Carts that I'm using are the Tactile Envy Gen 2s. I love them because they've got that little rubber bit on, so it really like comforts your finger. You're not having a plastic resting on you. They're really comfortable to use. Really good needles as well, so take away all of that. The needles are really good, really strong, really punchy, and they really get the job done. So at the moment, I'm using a 15 curve mag. And I'll be using black, just tapped into dark wash. I use nocturnal ink sets. All of these will be in links in the description, so you can go and check them out. Nocturnal, really great ink, really solid, really punchy, and sort of really simple to use in the sense of you've just got the dark, medium, light washes, you've got black. They do super black as well. But yeah, I just use dark, medium, light, and then they're regular black. So yeah, really good solid inks. So we're starting from the bottom of the tattoo, obviously, so we're not destroying the stencil. So what I'm trying to do at the moment is that I've got a piece underneath with feathers and stuff like that, so I'll be carving into that. But I just want to get sort of all this dark shadow, which will give me like the light chin. So we want to get all these darks in first. So what that does for me is it helps me get a black point in. That way, once I've got an element that is completely black, everything else tone-wise should be lower than that. So for example, if you go into like what would be like a dark or medium tone and hit that black, you can't go any darker than that. So after that, all your values are going to be off. You're going to lose a lot of contrast. It's going to be a very flat piece. So get an element of black in. That's your reference point for what black should be, and then just work backwards from that tone wise. So even if you didn't pack that black in, you'd still have the right values for the piece. So as we're working up, we're sort of working around this, the right-hand side, and with me being right-handed, I don't want to be rubbing off my stencil, so I tend to work sort of this way, and I'll sort of sweep my way through. So just again, getting the background in, making sure I can get all that light fur. We have these negative sort of leafy planty things you can sort of see on my reference on the iPad. That really helped me out just because I didn't have to put a lot of detail into the flowers. I can't remember if we did put some stuff in the end. I've got a feeling that we got towards the end and I thought they looked a little bit too cut out. So we did put just a little bit of something in so they had a little bit of volume and shape to them, but we'll find out as we go through. Like I said, this was a while ago. We're sort of in the winter now, and I've got shorts on, which is very rare for me. So this would have been in the height of summer when I did this piece. So again, now going back down sort of to the bottom. So again, we're doing this sort of sweeping motion. And I'm just carving out some more of these sort of negative space leaves and the whiskers. So this is where it normally takes up a lot of my time. So the way I do my whiskers is I double line them, so I've got like a gap for where the whisker is going to be. I'm not too precious about how perfect that is because we're going to get white through it at the end. but you do want to have some sort of gap so you can get a nice crispy whisker going through there when you start getting the white in. So it takes a little bit of time carving in and make sure you're not losing your stencil, but it's all worth it at the end. It just gives you that real nice punchy whisker and just gives it a lot of nice dynamic at the front, because obviously this is the part of the piece that's the most forward, so you want it to be in the most focus, and it'll give you some real nice depth to the piece, stop it looking so flat. So like I was saying before, the great thing I like about doing sort of leopards, tigers, big cats and stuff like that is the high contrast. So at the moment I'm literally using black and maybe just going slightly into my dark wash. So I just want to get all these like sort of heavy base tones in, so it's really strong, really punchy, and it's really going to heal out, you know, say really strong once it's healed. All that means is I can go in, get all my blacks in, and then yeah, just run through afterwards so we can get a load of mid-tones in. So I did just put a little bit on the side of the nose. That was mainly just to hold on to the stencil, where I've just got like the side, sort of like the top of the nose where it sort of curves off. That's like sort of where all the dark shadow would be. But we'll run through that afterwards, and we'll just whip over like a medium, maybe tapped into dark, just to give us that value on the top of the face. So we're still with a 15 curve mag. I don't think I'm going to swap probably at all today. I might go something a little bit smaller in the middle, or just make my life really difficult and just use the edge of my mag. That's the great thing about mags, they're so versatile, and you can use the edges, you can use it flat to really cover big areas. I definitely will be using a liner to put a highlight into the eyes at least. But the whiskers, that'll be a mag for the white, and that'll be on the side, but we'll go through that once we get to it at the end. So yeah, just keep using the 15 curve mag. Like I say, keep sort of blocking out all these spots. At the moment, I'm just making a mess on the skin in the sense of just wiping the ink. Like, I'm not trying to be too clean. You can see now I just gave it like a bit of a wipe. So what looked like I'd put mid-tones into the face, none of that's been put in yet. So nothing's in there to particularly make it look furry or full. It's literally just where the spots are, I'm getting those in black. So I'll be doing a combination of using my mag on the side and flicking that out to give us that fur. So I'm always flicking out, always making it look furry. And then I'll use a bit of flat into like the big bits just to flatten that out, so it's like a real nice solid flat. But you do want to make sure that you've got that furry sort of like flicks and stuff like that. And then when we go back through the mid-tones later on, we'll just put some mid-tones in between those gaps. So not filling it all in, but just putting a few little like sort of stripes here and there, like little streaks, just to give us those like little flicks of hair. You can see already how sort of furry it is looking. Like, it's got that texture to it, which is what we're trying to achieve. We don't want it to look smooth, because it's not, you know, it is furry. So for example, if you were doing this and you're doing other animals and you were doing like an elephant or rhino or something that's like got like a flat skin tone, I know they tend to be quite wrinkly, but like trying to define those two textures between the elements. So for example, the eyes are definitely going to look smooth and shiny, and if the mouth was open, the tongue and stuff like that, compared to the fur, which we're trying to get that nice furry texture in. So his skin was tattooing really well as well. He wasn't getting too angry or sort of getting too red and whatnot, swollen. It was tattooing really well. I've tattooed this guy a few times before, so I knew that we're gonna have a good day. He sits really well, which is always half the battle. Again, I've just given that a wipe, and you can see how little work I've done with regards to mid-tone. So there's a little tiny bit just above the eye on the left-hand side, which just gives us that little bit of that white gap that they tend to have around the eyes. But yeah, apart from that is where you're just getting sort of dark tones in, carving all those out, getting that fur. And again, still rocking the 15 curved, just to keep that nice sort of strandy hair fur look to everything. Like I say, we don't want anything to look soft or flat. We're just after that real nice high contrast, high dynamic, strong values, and just paying attention to the reference as well. I mean, the great thing with big cats is you can have like great amount of fun with them, like I say, because you're not too stressed about the stencil. They don't tend to be overcomplicated. They tend to be, you know, fairly straightforward. So this will be just medium wash, just running over the background, just to give us a little bit of something. So I can't remember what we spoke about was going to go above it and extra elements like that. So I needed some background to give it place and purpose, so it wasn't just a floating head, and also to give us those little bits of light fill on the top, so I didn't have to put any line work and stuff like that in. But also I didn't want it to be too strong that I couldn't add any other extra elements in down the line. So on the day, it's gonna look like a nice finished piece and everything else like that, and you could leave it there, but it also gives us the opportunity to be able to get stuff in and add extra things. So whether we go into like background elements and do some sort of like landscapey things or other animals, we'll see. So again, this is where we start with building up the value. So this is gonna be like medium tone, maybe a little bit of dark here and there, but I'm just literally whipping over. So I'm not trying to get texture in with fur now. I'm mainly just sort of really saturating the skin, getting sort of those tones in. What I do tend to do with mags, so you'll probably have found this as you've been using mags, depending on the speed of your machine, if you go really fast through, it's going to do what they call mag marks. So you're going to be basically skipping through the skin, so you'll end up with big gaps. So normally that's really undesirable. So if you're doing a portrait, you want it to be nice and smooth. You don't want any of those big gaps in there. However, for the texture of fur, what I found is if you can work with the direction of the fur and you purposely put those mag marks in, it'll in essence just give you that fur texture without you really trying. So if you imagine you're trying to get a sort of like furry sort of like texture, so the fur's sort of lying this way, if you're running your mag across the direction of that and it's gonna be sort of stomping in, it's just gonna really give you that texture and really add to that sort of furry look. So again, we're flying through this piece. We're into whites already. So yeah, I'm using a liner. So this will be a Type 5 bug pin liner. So we've hit the eyes and we've done a few little sort of like highlighty bits in the eyes, and already the eyes look really pretty as cats do. And like I say, with the fur, with the whiskers, we're back to the 15 curve mag. And we're using that on the side, so that's going to help me just really pack those lines in. And what it helps to do as well, it helps keep those lines really straight. So if you try and put a straight line in with a liner, you've really got to knuckle down, make sure you're getting it really straight. Whereas using a mag, because you've got that flat, as you're sort of coming across, it just straightens that line out. It really packs it in, really makes it really nice, strong and punchy. And then I tend to just whip through the fur. So I'm not going to do every single inch of the fur, but I'm just going to add little bits here and there just to give us a few little dynamic elements, just to make it look really nice. We tend to get white through the eyes and a little bit on the forehead. I mean, you can see where the white is. It's just really making that piece glow. And yeah, it just makes such a big difference. Doesn't feel the greatest for your client, but it's worth every second of it, because once it heals, it just gives you those real nice high contrast and really nice elements sort of up and below skin tone. And I think we're almost there. So we're just nipping over a few little bits of the white highlights. So I'm just making sure those eyes are really popping, and the last few little strands, so the little strands that come off the top of the whiskers, top of the eyebrows, so the little strandy bits. Give it one big final wipe, a little bit of Bactine to try and settle it down, and that's pretty much our leopard done. So there you go, guys, that was that leopard time lapse. Really quick, really simple. Like I say, big cats for me, I tend to find them that they just tend to go in quite well and easy. So I'm never too fussed about size and placement with them. Like I said, my clients that really well, that allowed me to get all that white in at the end, which really helped to bump up that contrast. If you check out my Instagram, I'll be reposting the leopard so you guys can see it. And feel free to drop any comments on my Instagram or on the YouTube if you want to know anything more about the piece, things I do, things that I might do that you maybe don't. And yeah, that's pretty much that's how I do my leopard. So if you enjoy this content, make sure to click the like button. If you're not already subscribe to the channel. It really helps, and I really appreciate you guys for subscribing. And then yeah, click the bell icon, that'll get you notified whenever I post new videos. With all that being said, thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you all on the next video. Peace.